The biggest thing is just addressing people's fears about this economic crisis.
So we'll be looking for how specifically some Republicans react to certain parts of the address.
But don't leave out the rest of the world, because he's going to be talking to them too.
There are many iconic presidential moments, and Barack Obama will have another one on Tuesday with an address to a joint session of Congress. Each president approaches the task differently.
We propose a permanent investment tax credit for the smallest firms in this country with revenues of under $5 million.
Bill Clinton was known for going through his entire agenda in detail, while George W. Bush was often more thematic.
I think the president will be somewhat of a mix, but I don't think he's going to get bogged down in, nitty-gritty.
Jackie Calms covers economic issues, a subject that is expected to dominate Mr. Obama's address.
This is the week where President Obama will try to signal that the United States is really serious about taking hold of its long-term fiscal responsibilities, to show that we really do still care about deficits.
We cannot and will not sustain deficits like these without end. Contrary to the prevailing wisdom in Washington these past few years, we cannot simply spend as we please and defer the consequences to the next budget, the next administration, or the next generation.
But that isn't all.
There were a lot of people that thought when he took office amid a recession that he was going to have to put his campaign promise to expand health care on the shelf. And the administration says the opposite.
In addition to health care, the administration is planning to focus domestically on energy policy and education. It's an audacious agenda.
We cannot successfully address any of our problems without addressing them all. And that is exactly what the strategy we are pursuing is designed to do.
But the biggest challenge isn't whether they'll work, it's whether he can get them passed.
At some point soon, foreign policy always takes center stage, because we can't control what other countries are doing.
Helene Cooper covers the administration's foreign policy. The biggest move so far is in Afghanistan, where they recently committed an additional 17,000 troops to the conflict.
Obama was elected on an anti-war platform, and now he has to convince the American people that sending more of their troops is in the interest of American national security. He also, though, has to make a case to the Europeans and America's allies in NATO that they, too, need to step up to the plate.
The entire region presents a series of challenges for Mr. Obama to discuss in his speech. During the campaign, he drew a clear line on Iran.
We cannot tolerate a nuclear Iran. It would be a game changer.
And there's no easy answer about how to accomplish it.
Many people believe you don't have the time to wait. You sort of have to go after Iran and go after looking for some sort of accord. There is some worry that Israel could attack Iran and take the choice out of President Obama's hands.
And within Israel, time may also be of the essence, some say.
If you allow the Palestinian situation to fester, it's just going to continue to deteriorate, and you will get to the point, some people say even this year, where a peace deal is no longer viable, or a Palestinian state is no longer viable just because of the settlement activity.
So Mr. Obama has a lot of ground to cover, and the size of his audience may be unfamiliar to him.
The audience in the room at this will be one of the smaller audiences he's spoken to. How they're preparing for it is much different, because it is sort of a contained room.
Jeff Zeleny covers the White House.
It will be an extension of two of the biggest speeches he's given so far. One was his Victory Night speech in Chicago, which was a very serious speech, and then at his inaugural, which is also a very heavy speech. So look for more of that kind of speech than a campaign-type rally.
But the Obama team does have a specific strategy for his speech.
There are pockets of Republicans who are supportive of different pieces of President Obama's agenda. How do senators like Orrin Hatch, for example, respond to something that President Obama might say on stem cell research? He's been very supportive of that. Well, usually these speeches for presidents are sort of their opening act to a Congress. Usually it's a chance to sort of say, I'm here, I'm in town, let's begin working together. He's already done that. Members of Congress have already had a lot of interaction with this White House. But what this gives President Obama a chance to do is sort of reset the clock a bit. If presidents ever get a second chance to begin again in some respects, so this is it for President Obama.